You think soundbars are the budget option and receivers are the real deal? What I discovered in a blind test will shatter everything you thought you knew. The setup, hiding the truth to reveal it. To eliminate all bias, I set up a neutral test environment. 2 separate systems. One powered by a top-rated AV receiver with passive bookshelf speakers and a sub, and the other driven by one of the best Dolby Atmos soundbars in the $500 to $1,000 range. The twist: neither system was visible to the testers. They sat in the room, eyes closed or facing forward, listening only to the audio. No speaker shapes, no brand biases, just pure sound, movies, music, games, everything they'd actually used the system for. We ran each test multiple times, swapped cables, used the same content clips, and even let people vote on which sound felt more real, more powerful, and more emotionally impactful. Round 1, the movie test, Atmos versus fake Atmos. First up, we tested a high-action Dolby Atmos film scene. Explosions, helicopters, bullets, and spatial audio flying all around. The goal? To see if people could feel the height channels, the width, the depth of field. The AV receiver rig had 4 speakers, a sub, and Dolby-enabled modules. The soundbar system was a high-end 7.1.2 setup. Testers were blown away, but not in the way we expected. Most people picked the soundbar setup as having more punch. Why? Because the soundbar had aggressive tuning out of the box, louder mids, more processed bass, and a wider soundstage artificially created through psychoacoustic trickery. But when asked which sounded more real, most pointed to the receiver setup. The spatial cues weren't louder, they were clearer. There was depth. It wasn't trying to impress, it was just telling the truth. Round 2, the music test, purity versus power. Then came the music challenge. Lossless audio tracks, jazz, hip-hop, acoustic. No surround, just pure stereo separation and tonal balance. Here's where the tide turned. The AV receiver setup dominated. Listeners described it as warmer, more lifelike, and emotional. One tester literally said, "I felt like the artist was in front of me." Meanwhile, the soundbar was labeled boxy, compressed, and too sharp. And remember, these are blind tests. People didn't know they were hearing a $300 soundbar or a $600 receiver. They were just reacting to the sound. This showed a critical truth. Soundbars may simulate surround, but they struggle with nuance. If you love music, a receiver setup still rules. Round 3, gaming showdown: lag, direction, and thrill. Gamers in the test wanted directional accuracy, explosive sound, and zero delay. And this is where soundbars had a surprising win. Thanks to built-in low-latency HDMI eARC and powerful DSPs, the soundbar setup offered instant feedback in FPS games. Directional cues weren't bad either. The wide front stage gave decent imaging, and the sub added satisfying impact. However, serious gamers noticed a difference. The AV receiver separation helped pinpoint enemy footsteps and environmental details that the soundbar smeared or missed entirely. One gamer said, "It's like switching from a foggy lens to a clear one." Round 4, dialogue clarity. Who's talking and where? In real-world usage, nothing frustrates more than mumbling movie dialogue or unclear podcast voices. We tested dialogue-heavy scenes, drama, talk shows, even quiet moments in games. Shockingly, this was a tie. Soundbars with center-focus drivers and voice enhancement modes did incredibly well here. Dialogue was crisp, forward, and isolated. For casual users, this alone might justify the purchase. But once again, the AV receiver setup had a natural edge. Voices weren't boosted, they were present. You could hear the room reverb, the breath between lines. That's realism you can't fake. Price versus performance. What are you really paying for? Here's where the real emotions came out. When testers were told which system they had chosen after each blind round, some were shocked. One person who swore they'd never buy a receiver again had unknowingly picked the AV rig every single time. Why? Because when you remove branding, presets, and marketing, it's about the sound. Soundbars win on convenience. Easy setup, no wires, sleek design. But AV receivers still offer the most honest, scalable, and powerful sound, especially for music and nuanced film. You don't need to spend thousands. Even entry-level receivers and budget speakers can outmatch soundbars in clarity and realism. If you know what to buy. The final verdict: choose what fits your world. So what's the conclusion? If your priority is convenience, modern looks, and plug-and-play Atmos for TV shows, gaming, and casual movies, get a soundbar. Especially newer models with 5.1.2 or 7.1.2 channels. They're incredible for what they do. But if you want cinema-quality immersion, detailed music reproduction, and full control over your sound environment, AV receivers still rule. The blind test proved something simple but powerful. Your ears don't lie. So next time you shop, don't buy what looks good. Buy what feels right. Call to action. Still confused about which setup is right for you? Drop your room size, budget, and audio goals in the comments. I reply to everyone and will help you pick the right gear. And don't forget, more blind tests are coming. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next shocker. Your ears deserve the truth. Let's find it together.